There's a lot of great things about St. Petersburg, Florida. And after being close by for about 2 years now, one thing stands out to me as the best thing about it. I'm Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel, where we make videos about what it's like to live and move and invest in the Tampa, Florida area, kind of the whole area. We are also a team of licensed realtors here in the state of Florida, so if you have any real estate specific questions, we would love to help you anytime. Our phone number and email are right there on the screen. So St. Petersburg, this town in the Tampa area, one of the largest towns in Florida. I think it's number 5, around 250,000 people, and it's right here on this peninsula, mostly facing the Tampa Bay. And then over here, as you go west over to the beaches, those are actually different towns. They feel like they're kind of part of St. Petersburg, but they're actually different towns. St. Petersburg was one of the first cities established along the Gulf Coast and maintains a lot of that historic charm. And that is one of the reasons that people love it. It's charming, it has cute old houses, a lot of brick roads. There is kind of a unique, charming vibe. And you see this in a lot of towns, especially in the southeast, northeast, these older areas where cities have just been around a bit longer, homes have been around a bit longer. You get some of this Americana, small town vibe. But St. Petersburg is no small town. It is a pretty big city. It has a lot of those city amenities. This is another thing that people love about it. It has the city amenities, but it doesn't have a skyscraper vibe. So there are obviously some big buildings, some big office buildings, some big condo buildings, but they're not kind of dominating the city. Even the downtown area and the areas with good food, like those don't feel dominated by skyscrapers. The third thing that people often love about St. Petersburg is the food scene. There's a lot of great food along Central Avenue, along downtown, but kind of throughout. There is a lot of energy for good food, for good bars, for all these kind of things, unique kind of local places. Another thing people would love about the St. Petersburg area is there's a lot of fun events. There's things like farmers markets and holiday events and all kinds of festivities in between. Even a big Formula One race in downtown St. Petersburg where they kind of block off the whole area. Another thing is baseball. This is actually where the Tampa Rays play. Their stadium is right in the middle of St. Petersburg, and there's talk about moving it after 2027 to downtown Tampa, but we'll see. Finally, on this list of the things people often love about St. Petersburg is the water. St. Petersburg is kind of surrounded by water, but then just a little drive or a little bus ride or a long bike ride, you have beautiful, beautiful beaches. And some of these beaches are ranked in the top 10 in the US. St. Pete Beach, all the way up to Clearwater Beach are all pretty accessible from the St. Petersburg area. And those ones on the south side of that, you know, from Indian Rocks Beach all the way down to St. Pete Beach are really lovely. But the best thing about St. Petersburg, in my opinion, is the community. St. Petersburg has community that other areas just don't have, in my experience. People that live in Tampa, they love Tampa and they're supportive of Tampa. They love their teams, they love their city, they love their people, but they don't often live there. They often live in Carrollwood or West Chase or Lutz or Wesley Chapel or Brandon or Clearwater or Oldsmar, and they think of Tampa as their home city. But it's different when you can like ride your bike to the local restaurants, or you can walk to them. You can engage in the local community a little bit differently when it's a little bit smaller. And that's what St. Petersburg has that's really special. So we've had a lot of clients move to St. Petersburg in the past couple years, and this is the thing that really draws them to the area. And it took me a while to really understand it. And it's not just that people are activists or bettering their community. Always, they are some, of course. There are a lot probably in St. Petersburg, but they also just want to feel a sense of belonging. And St. Petersburg has that. There's something about the ratio of size, the ratio of amenities, and kind of this vibe that exists there. I'm curious if you visited St. Petersburg, if you felt that draw, and if you felt that kind of local engagement. My father-in-law, who grew up here in the Tampa area in Tarpon Springs, he and his brothers have often said to me that St. Petersburg is full of retirees. And that's just not the case anymore. There are certain times of the day where I've been down like by the pier in downtown early in the morning to shoot footage, and it feels like there's a lot of mall walkers, you know, people that live in those condos, a lot of that housing right around there. If they are elderly, they are getting out in the morning and doing some walking, and you kind of have that certain feel. And it's It's great, but it's really not dominated by that, as home prices in St. Petersburg have continued to go up, and as the average age has continued to go down, this city has seen a bit of a shift. I would say the number one downside of all of this excitement about a city like this is the costs. The costs just keep going up. The costs are very stable in this area. Rent prices keep going up. Home prices keep going up, even though it's often making it unaffordable for locals. So a lot of people that if they grew up in St. Petersburg, they're often having to look outside of that area to purchase their own home. And I said a lot, not all. I understand a lot of people can, but a lot of people are having to look elsewhere. So as you're like looking around, looking at cities you might want to move to, how does this kind of community vibe rank in your metrics? I'd love to see comments down below. How important is this kind of local feel? Or do you want to be more anonymous? And I relate with that. I genuinely do, because I grew up in such a small town. Lately, because of this YouTube channel, I've been recognized a little bit more, and my wife thinks it's hilarious because she's hardly ever even watched any of these videos. But there's something about that causes me to feel a little bit like I'm in a smaller town, and I have mixed feelings. There's part of me that likes that. You hear the bell, that's the great church across the street. There is part of me that likes that small town feel, and I would like that for my kids. But from growing up in such a small town, I really kind of enjoy being anonymous at times. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts about the St. Petersburg area, about these surrounding towns, and if you're thinking about moving to the area, we would love to be your real estate choice anywhere in the Tampa area. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us anytime. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video about St. Petersburg and you haven't seen this video from our Tampa Explained series about St. Petersburg, don't forget to check that out. And thanks for coming by.